Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Eric with 8-Bit Generation X, and today I'm coming at you with 5 wrestlers that could have been Intercontinental Champion during the New Generation era, but never were. If you like content like this and want to see more, please like, subscribe, check us out on Instagram as well as TikTok. All right, last video I broke down the 5 wrestlers that could have been WWF champion during the golden era, but never were. Today, I'm moving my focus to 5 wrestlers that could have been Intercontinental champion during the new generation era, but never were. Before we get started, we should probably break down what is the new generation era. And again, there's nothing official about these eras, so I'm kind of just going to give you my thoughts. So I consider the new generation era really to be mid 1993 to late 1996. Late 96, you start seeing seeds of the Attitude Era. In June of 96 with Stone Cold winning the King of the Ring and his promo with Austin 316. You start seeing a little bit, some foreshadowing of the Attitude Era. But from 93, 96, we'll call this the New Generation Era. And that's really where they were transitioning away from Hogan and Savage. And they were really relying on Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, The Undertaker. And a lot of the matches that these top level guys had were amazing. Scott Hall, Diesel, Razor Ramon Diesel, I should say, were, carrying the load as well. However, everything from like the mid card down was lackluster, to say the least. This is considered some of the weakest years. 95, one of the weakest years of the WWE ever. Even though if you look back at that, and Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart were putting on bangers left and right. However, the undercard really wasn't anything special. And that's what actually gave WCW a chance to start getting some momentum and taking over, because some of the new characters the WWE was trying during the mid 90s just wasn't working. They had a lot of, the Trash Man, the Hog Farmers, a lot of bad gimmicks. But obviously they found their way. Without the new generation era, we wouldn't have the Attitude Era. So anyway, we're going to focus on 5 wrestlers during that time period that should have been or could have been Intercontinental Champion, but never were. During the New Generation era, the IC strap was on lockdown between just a few wrestlers. Now, don't get me wrong, they played hot potato with the belt, and a lot of people had reigns during this time, and a lot of them were short. But if you look back, Razor Ramon, Jeff Jarrett, Shawn Michaels, right? Really, between those 3, they dominated the IC scene through the New Generation era. And I'd argue that Shawn Michaels at that time didn't even need the title, because they say, once you hit a certain level, you don't even need a title. I think back of like Jake Roberts during the golden era. Like, he's a prime example of someone who didn't need a title. He was so over. So Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon were both so over that they really didn't need the title. Jeff Jarrett kind of needed the title to make himself seem legit. But anyway, those 3 dominated the IC scene during the New Generation era. These 5 could have / should have had a reign or 2 during that era. So let's start with number 5. Adam Bomb. Now, this guy looks straight out of a cartoon, of course. Came on the scene, I'd say, in 93 as a heel, managed by Harvey Whippleman. And, during WWE Superstars or Wrestling Challenge, he would just squash jobbers. I mean, he'd make them look silly. He had a great power bomb where he'd lift him up and smash him down on and land on one knee, and it just looked devastating. Problem was his character was just so cartoonish that you just knew this monster heel was not going to get over. At one point, I believe late 94 into 95, he turned on Harvey Whippleman and became a face. And WWE really started putting the merchandise machine behind him. They had like these goggles, like the nuclear war goggles that you could buy at the merch table. But they also had these little footballs, that people would throw around the crowd. And they were everywhere, to be honest with you, in the mid-90s. But Adam Bomb's face character went nowhere. His merch was selling a bit, but, he didn't have any notable feuds, and his face run just fizzled, Now, had he been given the IC strap during this face run, I could almost see it working a little bit. Maybe the character was the dial was turned back just a little bit, kind of like what they did with Diesel. Once he became the WWF champion, his personality came out a little bit more. And it helped the character become more relatable. Adam Bomb with the IC strap and, beating some heels. The crowd could have got behind him. His merch was selling. He had a unique look, but it went nowhere. So Adam Bomb could have been IC champ, and it could have worked during the New Generation era. Next, number 4, Savio Vega. Now, Savio Vega came out of nowhere to those that only watch WWE, because I know he's big in the Caribbean. But Savio Vega came out of nowhere and was booked right on top with Razor Ramon as Razor Ramon's best friend, even though we never heard of the guy. And Savio Vega was like the utility player of the New Generation. He could put on a great match with almost anyone. He had feuds with Stone Cold. I think it was Stone Cold, but anyway, Ringmaster / Stone Cold. He put on great matches with anyone he was in the ring with, but he partnered a lot with Razor Ramon, who was on top. Saw a lot of Razor Ramon and Savio Vega versus Jeff Jarrett and the Roadie, right? So he debuts right on top. At some point, I could have seen this character getting over if maybe he defeated Jeff Jarrett for the IC strap instead of giving Razor Ramon just another run. And that really maybe could have got the ball rolling for Savio Vega. Never happened. Eventually, his character went nowhere. He turns heel, joins the Nation of Domination. That doesn't really fit. So he ends up spinning off into his own group, Los Boricuas, with a lot of other Latin American wrestlers. That starts getting a little more towards the Attitude Era finally, but that also went nowhere. But maybe he could have had the IC strap during that period too, when he was the leader of his own group. There were 2 chances to give Savio Vega a chance with the IC belt. Never worked. But maybe it could have worked when he first debuted. Kind of give him the belt, let him run with it. Number 3, and this surprises a lot of people, that this person had never held the IC championship ever, regardless of New Generation, Attitude Era, or beyond. The 1-2-3 Kid. The 1-2-3 Kid never had an Intercontinental Championship reign ever. Poor Sean Waltman. He was tag champion. He was European champion, but never had a run with the IC title. Now, a lot of people may think the perfect time to give the 1-2-3 Kid the IC champion is when he was a white meat, babyface kind of character. But no. That underdog is good. That underdog story is good for like a short period of time. The best opportunity he had to have a great Intercontinental Championship run was that heel turn when he joined Ted DiBiase and the $1 Million Corporation, right? If he had joined the corporation, been given the Intercontinental Championship, he would have been a great, like, chicken or cowardly heel champion who always cheated and got his way out of the match or somehow held on to the title, similar to the Honky Tonk Man or similar to what maybe like Dominic Mysterio is today. He would have been a great cowardly Intercontinental Champion, always cheating somehow with some help from DiBiase, or he was actually hanging out with Sid at that time as well, maybe some outside interference from Sid, getting himself counted out. He had this whiny demeanor about him during that period of time. The 1, 2, 3 Kid, the work he'd be putting, the ring work was amazing. So he could have been with top faces of that time and putting on great matches, but yet somehow finding a way to retain the title, even though he's getting beat 90% of the match. That would have been entertaining, and I think they missed the opportunity there. Now, number 2 is almost like a similar case. Native American Tatanka. Now, he could have been Intercontinental Championship. The mirrors the way the 1, 2, 3 Kid could have been Intercontinental Champion. Now, Tatanka, very well documented that he had over a year-long undefeated streak that obviously went nowhere until he got squashed by Ludwig Borger. And that whole white meat babyface aura of him kind of disappeared. And eventually, it was between him, Lex Luger, who is taking the money from DiBiase. Obviously, it was Tatanka. And Tatanka joined the corporation. Now, Tatanka played this evil version of the Native American, and again, ultimately, it went nowhere. But if he was just given a little extra, maybe the IC strap, that could have went somewhere. The feuds he was in could have meant a little more. He had like just a one-off with Lex Luger, and then the rest he was just putting tag teams, random pairings with other members of the $1 Million Corporation. But if he was defending the Intercontinental Championship against top baby faces of the time, these feuds would have meant a little more. They would have had a little more meat on the bone, if you will. And it would have been a little different from the 1, 2, 3 Kid because he wouldn't have to be that cowardly champion that the 1, 2, 3 Kid would be. He could actually, have some clean victories or, slug it out with the top faces of the time and put on matches that could be second co-main events almost during that time. That's how weak the pay-per-views and the cards were, but Tatanka could have been a legit Intercontinental Champion and have like a strong reign as well. But the number 1 wrestler who should have / could have been Intercontinental Champion during the New Generation era was Bam Bam Bigelow. A lot of people say Bam Bam Bigelow could have been WWE Champion. I just don't see it. Maybe when he was heel, he could have been a transitional champion, maybe took it from Bret Hart, just drop it back to Bret Hart or something like that. But we're talking IC strap. And yes, Bam Bam Bigelow was a hot heel. Could have been IC champ when he was a heel. I see picture Luna Vachon carrying the belt on the outside for him, and he's taking on all challengers and squashing them. But I think his best opportunity to be the IC champion was, again, after WrestleMania 11 when he broke away from the corporation and they really put the WWE merch machine behind Bam Bam, and he had this new leather jacket, if you will, and it shot flames out, and they really pushed him as the second babyface of the company, tagging him with Diesel, who's the WWE champion at the time, and really trying to push Bam Bam down our throats. Now, I remember watching that at the time being like, Listen, I didn't buy Bam Bam Bigelow as a babyface when he first joined the company back in like 87. But I was a little kid. So in 88, I was still like, this guy seems like a heel. But sure, he does cartwheels and he's a big man with tattoos on his head. But it seems like he would be a heel. And then he disappeared right after WrestleMania 4, it seemed, and came back as a few years later as a monster heel. And this I got. But again, they turned him babyface. And I could see why. Like, he had buzz to him. He was an unbelievable in-ring performer, could put on bangers with anybody. So why not give him the Intercontinental Championship when you're trying to strap a rocket to his back and make him one of the top baby faces, instead of giving Razor Ramon or Jeff Jarrett or even HBK another IC championship reign? If they had put this on Bam Bam Bigelow, maybe this face run would have worked, and it actually would have kept him in the WWE longer, because I think after this face run fizzled, he was shortly thereafter in ECW, where that kind of worked out because he definitely put on bangers in ECW. And if he stayed in WWE, maybe we wouldn't have seen those great matches that he put on in ECW. But Bam Bam Bigelow is my number one wrestler that could have been Intercontinental Champion during the New Generation era. I guess I have an honorable mention. Crush could have been the IC champion, but he, for whatever reason, was never given the run as well. He had a decent chance, but at WrestleMania 9 era, so I'd say at 93. 93 was Crush's best chance for an IC championship run, but heel or face, it never really worked out. Anyway, that's my list. Comment. Let me know if you agree, disagree. Who'd I leave out? Who would you put as your wrestler who should have been IC champ during the New Generation or ever? Comment. Let me know who it is. One more thing. We are only 25 subscribers away from 100. Once we hit 100 subscribers, we will be giving a autographed picture of Tito Santana out at random to one of our subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. All right, give yourself a chance to win an autographed picture of Tito Santana, Hall of Famer, former IC champion, former tag team champion. All right, till next time.